Best rapper alive, I'ma rock it acapella. Best rapper alive, BKG ain't retired. Best rapper alive, I'ma rock it acapella. Best rapper alive, BKG ain't retired. I'm packing the action, the fire calls ashes, the cash I'm stacking, heavily macking, the girls be grabbing me, Louisiana all in me, no fraud to my city, where bros look pretty, but calls be sicky, candy painted whippies. I'm on the track so icky, yes it got gum under my shoe, minus the goo, I come from the boot, now tie your shoe. It's time to pursue this dream I'm chasing, I fiend my patient, best rapper alive, my lyrics should make me, I'm saying. You know these dudes be faking, treat you like a flat tire. Guess you gotta shorten your mic wire. I pull a hole in your ghostwriter, steal your typewriter, dump them on the beach and call it survivors. I'm a rewriter, now they say you're so tighter. Give me my props, I guess you not. You a reciter, and I'm a deep diver. Call it deep dish pizza, cause you got to get the bread before you get the meat eaten. And I'm a good reason. Most rappers don't see daylight. Ripper Lee's got a new believer. Now they see me, now they hear me, now they listen, now they feel me, now they fear me. Halloween must be my season. I could give about you, wish I never spit a killer. Yeah, I did it, killing you dudes for no reason. Man, check it, I'm talking about the mic, cause it's silly how a cobra don't warn before it strikes. BKG, I'ma rock it acapella. BKG, I'ma rock it acapella. BKG, I'ma rock it acapella. BKG, 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 I'ma rock it acapella. BKG, I'ma rock it acapella. BKG, I'ma rock it acapella. Check it, check it. You rappers rap like a chipmunk. Your lips talk, but you don't walk with your lips talk, so you ain't backing your own yapping. I get claps at my rehearsal, spitting verses that will hurt you. They'll look at you and be like, who the heck is Urkel? I was taught not to bite the hand that feeds you, so a buffet I'ma feed you. But a lot of rappers still greedy. They acting needy, want the money, want the cause, want the clothes and no rap sound old. I'm in with the new and out with the old. I could just buy sneakers if I scuff them, then they be throwed on the power line. Yeah, it's all in the hood down here. Boys don't play, yeah, boys in the hood down here. We be riding tinted up cars in the hood down here. We be hoodie up like it's cold in the hood down here. Take the hoodie off, see a ski mask. Hit the slopes of my block and this money I'ma grab. Pants sagging on my way to Tallahassee, music blasting, crackers hollering at me, top and bottom lip ashy. Yes, I'm rapping so passionately, popping bombs that rap. You see this right here, a courtesy, yeah, I'm flowing so verbally, leaving stains like